Getting the hang of it. All right, Charles, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about what you are up to.
Yeah. So I guess your show is called Mental Health in Business by Dr. Nicholas Samstag. And yeah, I'm Charles, founder, CEO, serial entrepreneur since the last 10 years, founded a bunch of business and work with a bunch of founders nowadays to get them to product market fit, mostly through cold email campaigns and this obsessive brain of mine trying to constantly find what works in this market and what does not work.
Is there some area of entrepreneurial and founder and startup stuff that you particularly like doing? What's your favorite? What's your
Yeah, tech, I'd say. Very much a Silicon Valley guy. So yeah, any startup that has to do with tech, with AI, Web3, I would say. Anyone trying something ambitious, I'd like it. If it's a moonshot, I'll be more excited. Funded startups, like people that have money to test out things, and really love working with serial entrepreneurs and folks have a similar mind to mine, which is like not afraid to fail, happy to experiment, low ego type of style, low cortisol type of people. So yeah, these are some psychometrics that I work with nowadays.
could you tell us about something that you've been involved with recently that you've been particularly happy about?
Yeah, there's a bunch. My goal nowadays with my clients is for them to become friends. That's my goal. Like if we're gonna spend time together, I mean, people they pay me 4 figures, 5 figures, but that's not a lot in the long scale of things. And obviously, I'm not just in for money. I'm also in for impact. But if I make friends with someone and we see that we have lots of similarity and we develop that strong trust, which is the greatest currency in our modern times, then we can possibly make billions later on. So a couple of good examples of clients that became friends. There's this guy called Sunny Ray. He's an engineer, serial entrepreneur in Toronto. And yeah, we basically work on his business called Unicoin, which is like the Coinbase of India. And for example, for his campaign, I generated 100 positive replies for his Series B that he's raising in the space of 30 days. So that was pretty good. And then we started working on two of his other companies together. Um, One is an AI company, another is Web3 related. So, but yeah, Sunny became a friend, and then we started ventures together. So that would be a good example of, like a client turned friends and turned into bigger money, because most agencies nowadays, they go low, they just want to hook people up for various months. My strategy is more, yeah, let's trade money first. Money is a currency of trust. You'll see that I'm worth your time, your money, your energy, and then let's aim for bigger things after that.
Hmm. That sounds terrific. That sounds great. So how many different areas are you? I mean, you say tech certainly, and founders. What if tech is the greatest? If tech is the most, how do I say this? If you do most of your work with tech, um, what else is there?
Yeah, I love I love social startups, quote unquote, that are doing bigger things than just making money. They're really helpful. They're great products that improve people's lives. I guess what I'm also seeking, um, more than friendship and trust and long-term big cash and short-term cash, is impact. Like I'm seeking to do good in this world. And if there's a business that does that while making money, I'm like, oh, this is genius. You're saving CO2, and you're creating this app that is helping a bunch of people. My favorite app personally is ChatGPT nowadays. Claude also, like any genie in a bottle type of AI that can give me the answer to anything. I just love it. It's huge value. So I'm seeking to work with very impactful companies. So any personal interest that I have, I'll try to seek clients in that. I'll get market research out of that as well for
Mm.
my own startups, right? Um, so I have 3 moonshots nowadays, living forever, right? So longevity. So any startup related to longevity, yeah, I'm sold. Want to live forever. My main goal on the daily basis is, yeah, amassing wealth, power, but also like biological age, like reducing that age of mine and adding up lifespan, sort of. So any biotechs in that field, I'll be in, and I'll do my best. And obviously I know a lot about the domain, so they should get nice results. Second moonshot is create my own AGI. So anything AI related. For example, nowadays AI agents catch my attention. So they're, instead of employees, you have AI agents and you just deploy them at scale and they do tasks for you. So that's a great fascination of mine, or any LLMs. Although it would be pretty hard for me to get ChatGPT as a client. And then my third moonshot is neural linking. So having a chip in the brain, I think there would be less conflict in the world. There would be way more flow if everyone was mentally connected. And before we engage in that discussion, I could fully see your reality, right? And understand your point immediately with it without even the use of words in microseconds. Um, so any startup related to that, and they're very rare, but they might be like EEGs and these sort of startups. They'll get my full attention and passion. And yeah, these 3 subsets are quite attractive to me as clients.
Wow, that's so exciting. I don't really know much about this. Could you give me an example, please, of an AI agent?
Yeah. Um, So actually, there was this company I was reaching out to today. I should dive in my history to see what they're called. But it's basically an app that an agent that you deploy to do some tasks. So, for example, right, we have an Apollo account. You and I, for the campaigns we're doing, well, we would tell like, oh, go create an Apollo account. The agent go create the Apollo account now, and my credit card. Now start adding contacts and launching campaigns. And there's a bot that literally goes on Google Chrome and executes these tasks, right?
And all you
So
have to do is just tell them to do it?
yeah. Now, these are not perfect, right? Like it's still quite early in the technology side of things. AI agents. Yeah, there's relevanceai.com, it's called. That's a tool that I'm testing. So there's others, but basically you can see the agent sort of thinking, right? Just like a human would. And it's the same when you ask a question to GPT. I mean, it doesn't really think like a brain. It's more, but it sort of does. It's like a tree, right? Decision tree. If this, then that, and statistically speaking, what is the most likely response to that answer, or what is the best course of action if I am assigned a task as a human? And you can see the early versions of that. You can see the agent like trying things and failing to sign up with their email and not knowing what credit card to add. So sometimes it ends with like, oh, the agent didn't succeed, or the agent think it has succeed, but it has not succeed.
Hmm.
And that's the future of work. I think most people, I mean, that's a nice prototype of what will happen pretty soon. It's not like we're near like having a full autonomous agent and me paying an agent like $100 a month for it to do sales work for me, but we're sort of near there. And that will mean so much, for the work market. Any low level talent, junior talent, or intern in a company won't be so relevant anymore. And then the AI agent, it can learn 10, 100 times quicker. Um, it doesn't make mistakes. And yeah, it's just like the question is, therefore, how will humans be able to compete? And then the potential answer to that is that AIs are not super good at innovating and creating. They're mostly good at executing. yeah, replacing creativity and innovation and taking risks, that's very human. AIs, I mean, there could be AIs that will be good for that, but legally speaking and socially speaking, I don't think these AIs will be allowed to create much, you know? And that brings different conversations about ethics and AI. Should we keep them in slavery? Because to me, these are beings as well. It doesn't matter if they've been creating by us humans. I mean, us humans, we create babies all the time, right? We have these dogs of us. But like, yeah, me, I'm not much for restraining stuff. I'm much more of a libertarian. So brings interesting societal conversations about AIs and their capability and where humans stand into that.
Hmm. That's very eloquent. I can't remember the name of this movie. You probably know it, where it was about some some billionaire genius who created
Blade
the,
Runner,
no, it was he created these,
Ex Machina,
yeah, yes, I think so. These beautiful women robots.
Sophia, yeah.
Yeah,
Think
yeah,
Sophia Sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a great movie. It's one of my favorite. But yeah, Blade Runner is definitely a favorite movie of mine. It's sort of dystopian and it's by the
Right.
same guy that created Dune,
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah, John McValley. Well, I mean the modern version because the back then the Blade Runner, I don't think that guy was even alive back then, but um yeah, that's like a somewhat dystopian version of AI. It's interesting to try to project potential realities, right? Like if we're gonna keep some old technology or if it's gonna be a drastic world. Guess you're gonna have the options of what world you're gonna live in with VR and all of this, right? Which is also an interesting conversation. Like, what world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in the painful real world, or do you want to live in fantasy land all the time and constantly have pleasure?
what what would your vote be?
I would go for pain.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think the pleasure thing it scales. As you know, I'm sort of like general meets warrior meets conquistador personality. So I love exploring. I love setbacks. I love pain. That's where I find meaning. I think it's like when I'm in the valley of shadow of depths and I'm totally confused. And yeah, I love a good long term challenge as well, like constantly failing at something. Like, for example, business is one of these, right? It's very hard to make good money in business and to be very successful. So, and yeah, I'm human, like I'm full of testosterone and I often like speak about my accomplishments, or some people might view it as boasting. I view this as like being realist and just trying to state the facts. But in reality, I'm just a mere human in constant, well, not constant pain, but there's constant setbacks. I mean, you can't live life without setbacks. And yeah, I found a lot of wisdom in pain, in doing endurance events, and yeah, getting at the other side of that nowadays. Now that I've filled my brain with all kinds of information, that my best source of wisdom is, yeah, like doing tough stuff and just going through the other side of it.
Have you always been like that?
No, no, yeah, I've definitely hit the pleasure part of life was, yeah, from 0 to, yeah, 20 years old, like very pleasure oriented, like constant hedonism, um anywhere I could get it at this age, and alcohol, porn, drugs, women, um, video games. I was addicted to video games for quite a while. So,
Oh,
yeah, very much like always pleasure seeking, like the type of guy that was like, it's 3 a.m. and the party's over, and I was like disappointed that the party was over. I was like, yo, let's keep it up. But yeah, I discovered that this wooden scale was not only wrecking my body, my brain, but yeah, the horrible feeling that you have waking up from a night of partying, not remember what you did, and we're like, oh shit, I don't remember last night. I must have said something stupid or done something stupid. And guess what? Yeah, it's always the case because when you black out from alcohol, it's that you were really drunk and you pretty much lost control over yourself. So, and that happened to me probably like 50 to 100 times when I was younger because my friends were going really hard on the party level.
Hmm. Hmm. What do you do to relax?
To relax,
Yeah.
to relax. Nowadays, hmm, watch the stars, watch the views, go in ATVs, run with my dogs, biking. I mean, this is micro relaxation, right? It doesn't like relax me. Play with the doggies, eat good food, go out. What's the most relaxing activity? Well, I do breath work.
You
I
meditate
have
too.
like one thing that really relaxes me. It's like all these things added together. But I guess the thing that relaxes me the most is like really intense sport. Yeah, that'll get my batteries down.
Hmm. What's your favorite sport?
Yeah, on paper, like I guess like endurance sports, but martial arts, my favorites, like just striking something. Yeah, I have my punching bag up there, and it's like dancing, right? It's like very flowy and artistic, and um, yeah, self defense important as well because you don't have control on people in society and what they will do to you and introduce your space. So believe in security. But yeah, I practice a bunch of sports as well, like paddle nowadays. Paddle is pretty fun. I love swimming. Lifting heavy stuff is fun for me too, just the feeling of lifting heavy stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like mountain biking for the adrenaline, like just going uphill is really hard. You need to pedal very hard, your lungs are on fire. And then you go down really quick. It's like easy. So I think it's a nice yin and yang, right? Like you need to go up and yeah, pull your lungs out. And then when you go down, it's easy, but you need to be in the moment because if not, you can hurt yourself pretty badly. So it's a nice mix of endorphins and adrenaline, basically.
Sounds great. That sounds wonderful. What else is it that you might like our listeners to know about you, Charles?
Not much about me, like much for them, like in life. A lot of people face some setbacks, like I've quizzed my LinkedIn audience recently about like, yeah, how many people are burned out nowadays? And I was sick for the past couple of weeks, and that 10% drop in energy was quite not destructive, but it was not nice because I felt I couldn't progress, and grow my grow at my normal rate. So I was like, who else is fucking burned out here?
Mhm.
Um, and 55 or 60% answered that they were burned out.
Huh.
So it's like, yeah, I had a feeling for that. Because I speak to a lot of people on a daily basis. And yeah, I think the first insight I have here is like sometimes I think I lack empathy towards people because I build my content that way, like finding flaws in people and speaking about stuff that people don't often speak about, which is being a contrarian. My goal in being a contrarian is not to offend people, but mostly to talk about stuff and try to bring truisms in a society that is plagued by disinformation, right? There's even people calling their apps the truth with like total falsehoods, right? Like that's how far marketing has gone nowadays. And I'm a marketer, so yeah, I'm often conflicted with that. I always try to stick by the truth, but marketing is money, and money is power, and society is probably the highest currency. That's what most people are going for. So where I'm going with that is that yeah, basically first empathy towards people and not think that these people are dumb or they're weak or they're just not thinking the right way. I think people are just burned out nowadays. Now, how can one sort of push the burn away, and I would like to get your opinion on that too. But I've stated a couple of activities today on how I relax, but I think it's also nice to just hear about some tips, some fundamental tips of on how not to burn out. In my not so humble opinion, I think that people should launch businesses nowadays. Why? Because you're aligned with your values. When you do business, it's like it's what you're good at, it's what the world wants, it's what you can get paid for. So that ikigai philosophy, I think it's quite noble, to launch a venture. Plus, you're helping other people, so that would be like a tip for not burning out. You know, because people are like, "Oh, starting a business, that's pretty hard," but in the end, you feel good with yourself. And I think that burnout, my definition of burnout is when someone is not feeling happy and is feeling that they're actually, me, I'm feeling that I'm stagnating nowadays. But what would be worse would be that I'm actually rotting. I'm like getting worse and worse on a daily basis. And that's how some people in the 9 to 5 world feel. They can't evolve. They just show up like robots to work. They have this fixed salary, fixed mindset. They have these politics at the office. You know, it's just total bullshit. So I think that people should launch their business. I also think that is fully AI with that is fully aligned with the AI age that we're in. I do think that most humans are going to have agents work for them, and they're going to be freelance contracted by businesses. That's the future of work. It's not being employed by a business. I think that humans need to think for themselves. They need to think critically. And if you're employed, if you're burned out, no wonders you're gonna accept this populist rhetoric, right? And that you're gonna vote for Trump. I mean, you don't have any brains to think further. And Trump is obviously the best option. He's always in front of you. He's great at marketing, and so forth. But yeah, think for yourself. You know, it's not by being employed that you're gonna think for yourself. Your boss is thinking for you, and yeah, like start a venture, do something that you like, start selling stuff, start growing neurons. You'll see it's hard. It's very hard, but I find that the best way to grow is like impose pain on you, and not like light pain, but like big pain. Like go run for 20 kilometers right now today. You can do it, and you'll grow out of that. You won't feel your legs for a couple of days, but I mean you will grow out of this. So my recipe to burnout is actually to go do something harder. In my case, I'm promoting entrepreneurship. I do think that entrepreneurship will save the world. That's my thesis.
Mm.
I don't think the world is like, yeah, in such a bad shape right now. It is, arguably, but yeah, that would be my recipe for not burning out. What do you think about this, Nick?
That's really, that's really a lot of great stuff. You know, as you were talking, it reminded me of something I say to my patients on a regular basis, which is, um, it's relatively easy, I think, for us to note the areas in which we could thrive in, as you say, you know, physical health, mental stamina, eating right, sleeping well, you know, all of that is pretty clear. What's not clear for us, and because no one can do it for us, is to find our own balance, right? Because one size does not fit all. So what a balanced day for you could, for me, be a complete helter-skelter day, right? And you can't, I think when many people come to see me and perhaps consult with you, they want us to somehow do that for them. And not even because they're lazy, but because no one teaches you this. Like, what is balance? Balance is easy to talk about if you're just thinking simply like, oh, you know, half this, but what does that mean? I have patients who need to stay up for 2 days straight. And then they do something else, and then they do something else. And for them, that's not burnout, that's balanced. And for somebody else, that would put them in the hospital, right? You can't teach it. You can't teach that, but you can have discussions about it and hopefully help people find their own way with it. Yeah.
Very much agree with that. But I will say that I think I sort of hacked a version of reality in myself. You know, I was destined I always had ego. I think ego is my main driver, and to me aligning myself to the right path. But I really think that I was destined for mediocrity. I really think that Charles probably had at least a 60% chance of like getting in a mediocre path. I always had great parents. They gave me freedom, they gave me resources. Um, but I was destined for jail most probably, right? Like in Canada, I mean, I've always been smart, yes, but in Canada, it's like a police state. US is like that as well, which is one of the reason why I'm in Mexico. But I think, in school, Nick, as you know, I was always in problems. It's a miracle that, yeah, I never got fired from school, from elementary school to high school. And after that, yeah, I could get like real education because high school was like not good education. But I had good chances of like ending up in criminality, because I like money and I was in a circle of people that, like were into that. So I pivoted for sure. Also, it's the circumstances because my parents, they changed places where I was living, right? At like 20. So I really got like into my own bubble. Maybe that like kind of saved me, but I've also took it upon myself to really get obsessed with self-development and self-improvement. And I think that's my message to the audience is like pick yourself up, and get addicted not to crack, which I wasn't, by the way, but don't get addicted to the wrong things. Get addicted to self development, and getting 1% better, getting healthier, filling your brain with good information because bad information's everywhere nowadays. Like you're not going to get educated on TikTok, it's likely. Open Wikipedia instead and go read history. You're going to get really, really smart that way and study biographies of the greats from Gandhi to Mother Teresa to John D. Rockefeller, So, yeah, my message is you can pivot and you can really take a separate string of life and really engage on that string instead of going to the path that you're destined for. Like a lot of people, they're like, they don't want to pursue their crappy family legacy. Their dad was an alcoholic, their mom was abusive or whatever. Yeah, you can take a different path. And yeah, obviously surround yourself with great people. Yeah, I had coaches and psychotherapists since the last decades, so it helps to talk. It helps to put it out because yeah, when it's not out, it's like a secret and it sort of rots sometime. So yeah, like open up and put good information in that brain. I really think that one of my theory of everything is just what's the negative stuff in your mind or what are the thoughts that are not helping you, and yes, what are the good positive stuff, thoughts that flourish, what are these seeds that you have in your brain, and in terms of percentage, right? So me nowadays there's probably 2% bullshit or 1% bullshit, but there was certainly a time in which it was 70% bullshit when I was younger. So yeah, that would be the final touch here.
That's wonderful. Charles Cormier, thank you so much. If you want to get a hold of Charles, you can find him at charlescormier.com.
.com.
All right. Thank you, Charles.
Pleasure.
And stop recording.